The Tyrannosaurus rex was the king of the land, but 66 million years ago, if the king stepped into the water, it became a snack. This isn't a shark, it isn't a crocodile, and technically, it's not even a dinosaur. It is the Mosasaurus, the T-Rex of the deep. But Hollywood lied to you. They made it too big. But here is the terrifying truth. The real Mosasaurus didn't need to be that big to be the deadliest thing on Earth. It had a secret weapon hidden in the roof of its mouth that no shark possesses. A weapon designed to ensure that once you were caught, there is zero escape. Welcome to the true story of the ocean's god. To understand the monster, we have to go back to a time before we even knew what dinosaurs were. The year is 1764. Deep in a limestone quarry in the Netherlands, miners struck something hard. They pulled out a skull, 4 feet long, jaws lined with teeth that looked like daggers. The locals were terrified. They thought it was a dragon or a biblical monster from the Great Flood. For decades, scientists argued, was it a whale? Was it a giant crocodile? Then came George Cuvier, the father of paleontology. He looked at the skull and realized something that would shake religion and science to their core. He said, "This is not a whale. This is a giant lizard." But more importantly, Cuvier asked, where is this animal today? It's gone. Before the Mosasaurus, people didn't believe animals could go extinct. They thought God's creation was perfect. The Mosasaurus was the first proof that monsters can die. So what was it? It was a marine lizard, a close cousin to the Komodo dragons walking on islands today. Imagine a Komodo dragon, pumped full of steroids, stretched to the size of a school bus and given flippers. That is the Mosasaurus hoffmanni. Let's address the elephant, or the leviathan, in the room, the size. In the movies, the Mosasaurus is depicted as a kaiju, nearly 100 feet long. In reality, the largest species, Mosasaurus hoffmanni, grew to about 59 feet, or 18 meters. You might be disappointed. Only 18 meters? Don't be. That is still longer than a T-Rex. It is heavier than a modern semi-truck. And unlike a whale, it wasn't a gentle giant filter feeding on krill. It was 15 tons of pure aggression. But its size wasn't its primary weapon, its jaw was. Mosasaurus didn't just bite, it crushed. Scientists estimate its bite force could rival the T-Rex, but it had a mechanical advantage that even the T-Rex lacked. Look at the roof of the mouth. Do you see those extra teeth? These are called paragoid teeth. Most predators, like sharks, bite you and shake you to rip off chunks. The Mosasaurus did something worse. These inner teeth acted like a conveyor belt from hell. They were curved backward and could move independently. Once a Mosasaurus clamped down, its main jaws held you in place, while the paragoid teeth walked your body down its throat. If you were caught in that mouth, you weren't just bitten. You were actively pulled into your stomach while you were still alive. For a long time, we thought they swam like snakes, slithering slowly through the water. We were wrong. Recent fossil discoveries of soft tissue show they had a tail fluke, similar to a shark, upside down. This means they weren't slow ambush predators. They were capable of explosive bursts of speed. But being a fast, giant killing machine brings up a massive problem. How do you breathe? How do you sleep without drowning? And most importantly, how do you give birth to a 10-foot reptile baby in the middle of the ocean without returning to land? The answer separates the Mosasaurus from almost every other reptile of its time. They didn't lay eggs. They gave birth to live young, right in the open water. This is called viviparity. It sounds like an evolutionary advantage, no vulnerable eggs on the beach for rats to eat. But in the Cretaceous ocean, being born in the water was a death sentence. The ocean 66 million years ago is often called Hell's Aquarium. A newborn mosasaur was about 6 to 8 feet long, big for us, but a snack for everything else. Sharks like Cretosirena, the Jinsu shark, were hunting them. But the worst enemy of a baby mosasaur? wasn't a shark, it was other mosasaurs. Fossil evidence shows bite marks on mosasaur bones that match their own species. They were cannibals. If you were a baby mosasaur, you had to flee to shallow waters immediately. You spent your childhood hiding in the mangroves, terrified of the deep, waiting until you were big enough to return and claim your throne. Once they grew up, the fear vanished. They became the eaters. So what do you eat when you have the strongest jaws in the ocean? Everything. But they had a favorite snack, ammonites. These were giant squid-like creatures living inside rock-hard shells. We found fossils of ammonites with rows of circular holes punched straight through their shells. Forensic analysis matches the teeth of a mosasaur perfectly. They didn't just crack the shell, they punctured it like a hole puncher through paper. Turtles? Crushed. Plesiosaurs? Ripped apart. Nothing with a shell, bone, or armor was safe. They were the apex predator, the top of the food chain. But humans love to ask one question. What if the king of the Cretaceous met the king of the Miocene?
Mosasaurus versus Megalodon. They never met. They lived 50 million years apart. But if we used a time machine to put them in the same arena, who survives? Let's look at the data. The challenger, Megalodon. Length up to 18 meters, similar to Mosasaurus. But weight, massive advantage. A Megalodon could weigh 50 to 60 tons. The Mosasaurus was only about 15 tons. The Megalodon is a tank. It's built for one thing, a single crushing bite. The defender, Mosasaurus. It is lighter, serpentine, and smarter. Mosasaurus had higher brain-to-body ratios. It could plan, it could ambush. If the Mosasaur attacks the gills or the fins, it wins. But here is the brutal physics. The Megalodon has the strongest bite force in Earth's history, up to 40,000 psi. The Mosasaur has a strong bite, but its skull is kinetic. It has moving parts for swallowing whole prey. That makes it more fragile. If the Megalodon lands one good bite on the Mosasaur's body, bones shatter, organs rupture, game over. In a head-to-head brawl, the shark's brute force likely overpowers the lizard's agility. The Mosasaurus was a god, but even gods have limits. But a shark didn't kill the Mosasaurus. The sky did. 66 million years ago, a rock the size of Manhattan slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula. We all know it killed the dinosaurs on land, but the devastation in the water was just as bad. Dust blocked the sun, phytoplankton died, then the fish died, then the ammonites died. The Mosasaurus, sitting at the very top, starved. It took millions of years of evolution to create this perfect killing machine, and it took one bad day to erase it forever. Today, all that remains are cold stones in museums. But looking at them, we realize something humbling. The Earth has created monsters far scarier than our nightmares. The Mosasaurus wasn't a movie monster. It was real. It swam where we swim. It ruled an empire that covered the planet, and for 20 million years, it was the king. If you enjoyed diving into the abyss, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, in a battle between a mosasaur and a sperm whale, who do you think wins? I'll see you in the next deep dive.